The marble lobby of the New York hotel gleamed under golden lights, yet the atmosphere was heavy with unease. Malik al-Hariri, a billionaire known across continents for his sharp business acumen and philanthropic ventures, strode across the floor with thunder in his eyes. His polished shoes struck the ground with the precision of a man who commanded power, but tonight his steps carried fury. Behind him, the grand doors of the conference hall closed, shutting away the echo of heated voices. The charity meeting had been a disappointment, another gathering where wealthy men and women spoke of compassion but argued only about profits. Malik, a man who had once believed in the power of generosity, felt betrayed. People parted quickly as he moved, whispering about his influence, afraid even to meet his gaze. His tailored suit fit him like armor, his presence an announcement of wealth and authority, yet beneath the sharp exterior his heart burned with disillusionment. He muttered in Arabic, the words laced with bitterness, "Enough. They only care about profit, not people." For years he had poured his fortune into schools, hospitals, and food programs, convinced that kindness could ripple outward. But here, in this city of steel and ambition, he felt small against the towering greed of others. Outside, his private jet awaited, the symbol of his escape. Malik had decided that America was not worth his time, not worth his hope. He was ready to leave, ready to turn his back on promises broken and ideals corrupted. To him, this night confirmed what he feared most, that humanity's heart had grown cold. Yet, as he approached the shining glass doors, destiny was waiting in a form he least expected, ready to challenge his anger with innocence. Daniel knelt on the cool marble floor of the hotel lobby, trying to coax a smile out of his daughter, Lily. His suit was borrowed, slightly loose at the shoulders, and the scuff marks on his shoes betrayed the truth of his life, long hours spent running from one job to another just to keep the lights on. At 35, his eyes carried the exhaustion of someone twice his age, but still they softened whenever they looked at Lily. She was only 6, but in her laughter, in her stubborn spirit, Daniel found the strength to keep going. Tonight, he hadn't come to chase wealth or prestige. He had come with a folder tucked under his arm, filled with scribbled numbers and photographs of hungry children from his neighborhood. His dream was simple, to keep a small food program alive, a project that offered warm meals to kids whose parents couldn't afford them. He had knocked on doors, written letters, begged for meetings. This hotel gathering was supposed to be his last chance to find someone who would listen. Yet as polished executives brushed past him without a glance, he realized he had been invisible all along. Daniel sighed deeply, the weight of defeat pressing down on his shoulders. Maybe this was a mistake, he whispered, his voice cracked with quiet resignation. Lily tilted her head, her big brown eyes fixed not on him but on the tall, imposing man striding toward the exit, fire burning in his gaze. She could sense something in him, a storm of anger, but also a heart that was not yet closed. While Daniel saw only another powerful man walking away, Lily saw an opening, a chance written in the language of the heart. And she refused to look away. Malik's reflection loomed tall and sharp in the glass doors as he prepared to leave, his anger still echoing like thunder inside him. The lobby buzzed behind him with hurried voices and footsteps, but he barely noticed. His mind was already on the jet waiting to take him away from all this disappointment. Then, suddenly, a small hand slipped free from her father's grasp, and light footsteps pattered across the marble floor. "Lily!" Daniel's panicked voice rang out, but she was already darting toward the towering figure. The hotel security guards moved quickly, instinctively stepping forward to block her path. But before they could reach her, Malik lifted his hand in a commanding gesture. His presence stilled them as though even they knew better than to interrupt. The little girl stopped just a few feet from him, tilting her chin upward with a bravery far beyond her years. Her voice, though soft, carried a clarity that cut through the noise of the lobby. In flawless Arabic, she said, "Uncle, don't be angry. Children are hungry. You can help." The word struck Malik like a lightning bolt. His stride halted, his chest tightening as though time itself had paused. In America, he was used to people speaking to him in English, in reverence, in fear, or in calculation. But this was different. No one here had ever spoken to him in the language of his childhood, the language his mother had once whispered prayers in. And certainly not a child, with eyes so full of innocence and conviction. Malik's anger began to dissolve, replaced with disbelief, then something far deeper, something he hadn't felt in years. His eyes widened, his breath caught, and the walls he had built around his heart began, slowly, to crumble. Daniel hurried across the lobby, his face flushed with embarrassment as he scooped Lily into his arms. "I'm so sorry, sir, she's just a child, she didn't mean to bother you." His words tumbled out in a rush, laced with fear that he had ruined any chance of being taken seriously. He clutched Lily close, ready to retreat, but Malik's hand lifted gently, stopping him mid-sentence. The fury that had once blazed in the billionaire's eyes was gone, replaced with something quieter, confusion, curiosity, and an ache he couldn't name. His voice, now softened, carried none of the sharpness it had moments earlier. How does she speak Arabic?" he asked, his gaze locked on the girl as though she had unlocked a door within him. Daniel hesitated, then answered with a quiet reverence. "Her mother, my wife, was an Arabic teacher. She passed away 2 years ago, but she always told Lily that kindness has no borders, no language. She taught her that every word of compassion matters, no matter where it's spoken." For a moment, Malik stood motionless. The polished lobby, the bustling strangers, the glittering city outside, all of it faded. In his mind, he saw his own mother's face, heard her gentle voice teaching him the very same truths in the warmth of their family home. Memories he had buried beneath years of wealth, power, and disillusionment broke through like sunlight after a storm. He realized, with a sharp pang, that his anger had never truly been for these people or this country. It was himself he had been raging against, for forgetting the very heart of his mission, for letting cynicism blind him to the power of simple kindness. And in the voice of a 6-year-old girl, the walls around his heart began to shatter. Malik slowly lowered himself until he was eye level with Lily, the cold hardness of his posture dissolving into something tender. The lobby, once filled with murmurs and distant footsteps, seemed to fall silent. He pressed a hand over his chest, a gesture of sincerity rooted in his culture, and spoke softly in Arabic, his voice carrying both gratitude and humility. "You reminded me who I am." His words trembled as though they came from a place long forgotten. Daniel stood frozen, uncertain if this moment was real. He had prepared himself for rejection, for another closed door, but instead he watched as one of the world's most powerful men looked at his daughter not as a nuisance, but as a teacher. Malik rose to his feet and turned to Daniel, his presence still commanding but his tone transformed. "Your project, tell me everything. Starting now, you're not alone." His words were steady, decisive, the same way he spoke when sealing multi-million-dollar deals, but this time they were fueled by something richer than profit, purpose. Daniel's throat tightened, his vision blurring as tears welled in his eyes. He could barely speak, only nodding in disbelief as relief and gratitude washed over him. Malik gestured to his aides, instructing them to cancel the flight and clear his evening. The private jet that once symbolized escape would wait, there was something far more important unfolding right here. And so, the billionaire sat down with the weary father and his wide-eyed daughter, right in the center of the grand hotel lobby. No contracts, no negotiations. Just a man rediscovering his humanity, a father clinging to hope, and a child whose innocent words had shifted the course of countless lives. In that moment, the future was rewritten, not with wealth, but with compassion. In the end, what began as a night of fury and disillusionment transformed into a moment of profound awakening. Malik al-Hariri, a man who had nearly abandoned his mission of compassion, found his heart stirred not by power or persuasion, but by the innocent words of a 6-year-old child. Daniel, the weary father, discovered that even in his lowest moments, hope could arrive in the most unexpected form. And little Lily, with her courage and kindness, became the bridge between despair and possibility. The story reminds us that change does not always come from boardrooms or grand speeches, it often begins with a single voice willing to speak the truth. Wealth and influence may build empires, but it is humanity, empathy, and courage that build futures worth living. Through one child's simple act of reaching out, a billionaire was reminded of his purpose, a father was given new strength, and countless hungry children were promised a brighter tomorrow. It is a testament to the universal truth that kindness has no borders, no language, and no limits.